safer world is possible, and together we can and will make it happen. Thank you.
When you show up in community, you find that group that makes you feel like home, but oftentimes you also find yourself again.
Welcome back, Squaddies. I'm your host, Emma, and welcome back to Sussexful. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Breaking news, folks. Thomas Markle Sr. is allegedly begging for cash following a reported leg amputation. And once again, tabloids are pushing a sympathy narrative. Let me be very clear. Thomas Markle does not need this money. This is not about survival. This is about public shaming, media manipulation, and forcing Duchess Meghan into a public response for tabloid consumption. This is all part of the Daily Fail's grand scheme. Regardless of where Thomas Markle lives, his Social Security benefits do not disappear. Those payments still go into a bank account. He also worked for decades, so retirement benefits should exist. Add to that the significant money he's already received from the press, plus previous crowdfunding campaigns. So the obvious question is, where did all that money go? Because if the tabloids used him, they should be paying him now. The Daily Fail has plenty of money. Let them cover his hospital bills instead of pushing another crowdfunding narrative. Better yet, where is Caroline Graham, the journalist who conveniently embedded herself with him to extract stories about Meghan? Where are the media groups who made money off his betrayal? Why are they suddenly silent now that he's no longer useful? Let's talk about what Thomas Markle Sr. has never done. He was not there for Meghan's wedding. He did not protect his daughter from media harassment. He did not stop Samantha Markle's attacks. He did not condemn threats made by Thomas Markle Jr. He did not defend Doria Ragland, a dignified, educated woman targeted by racist narratives. And he vowed to support the Daily Mail in court against his own daughter. That is not the behavior of a protective father. That is the behavior of someone who sold access to his child. And people haven't forgotten. This man has repeatedly embarrassed Meghan publicly, not by accident, but by choice. Every interview, every leak, every alliance with tabloids was deliberate. So no, even tragedy does not obligate Meghan to re-enter a toxic relationship built on betrayal. Thomas Markle Jr. once claimed that he and Samantha would take care of their father. So why the crowdfunding now? And finally, I wonder how Thomas Markle Jr. plans to spin this latest chapter on Instagram. This is not cruelty. This is accountability. Meghan Markle has moved on, protected, supported, and unbroken. And those who tried to destroy her are now facing the consequences of their own choices. What do you think, Squaddies? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. It appears Thomas Markle's penchant for public spectacle has not diminished, even after his recent leg amputation. Rather than relying on his own resources or the support of his family, Markle has resorted to begging for cash from the public, once again seeking to leverage his connection to the Duchess of Sussex for financial gain. This latest move is nothing more than a transparent attempt to shame Meghan and force her to engage with him publicly, all while the tabloids gleefully feed the drama. Despite his claims of financial hardship, it's hard to believe Markle is truly destitute, given his past income from media deals and his estranged daughter's substantial wealth. The onus should be on the Daily Mail and other publications that have profited from Markle's willingness to disparage his own flesh and blood. If anyone should be footing the bill for his medical expenses, it's the very tabloids that have shamelessly exploited his resentment towards Meghan. This latest stunt is simply another shameful chapter in the Markle family's ongoing efforts to publicly humiliate the Duchess, and the public would do well to see it for the manipulative ploy that it is. It's clear that Thomas Markle's recent actions are not motivated by genuine concern for his daughter Meghan, but rather by a desire for personal gain and attention. His public shaming of Meghan appears to be a calculated ploy to force her into engaging with him publicly, all part of the Daily Mail's grand scheme to paint the Duchess in a negative light. Markle's crowdfunding campaign for his supposed medical expenses raises further questions about his true intentions. Given his history of cashing in on his daughter's fame and failing to support her when it mattered most, it's evident that Markle is prioritizing his own selfish interests over the well-being of his child. The public can see through this transparent attempt to exploit Meghan for his own gain, and they have rightly refused to sympathize with his plight. So, it's honestly unclear where Thomas Markle's past funds have disappeared to, since he seems to have squandered any payments he got from the media before. Even though he probably gets Social Security and retirement benefits, Markle appears to have really fallen on hard times, and now he's, well, begging the public for financial help after a reported leg amputation. This, folks, looks like yet another ploy by Markle to publicly shame his daughter, Duchess Meghan, and try to force her to engage with him through the tabloids. But, the public has mostly grown tired of Markle's constant efforts to take advantage of his famous daughter, and a lot of people feel he ought to be seeking support from the very media outlets that enabled his behavior, not relying on crowdfunding. In the end, Markle's money troubles seem to come from his own poor decisions and lack of responsibility, rather than any real hardship. The Daily Mail and its affiliated media groups, honestly, should be the ones stepping up and paying for Thomas Markle's hospital bills. After all, they're the ones who exploited his relationship with his daughter Meghan for their own tabloid gains, leaving him in this mess. And, well, Carol Graham, the so-called good friend who reportedly moved in with Thomas just to get scoops on Meghan, should probably chip in for his medical expenses too. It's about time that those who profited off Thomas's willingness to publicly shame his daughter take responsibility for the consequences of their actions. Meghan shouldn't have to bear the burden of her estranged father's hospital bills, especially since he didn't support or protect her during her wedding, or from the ongoing attacks by other family members. The Daily Mail and their associates should be footing the bill, not Meghan or, honestly, the public. Thomas Markle's actions, or really, his lack of action, have been a big disappointment for his daughter, Meghan. He was noticeably absent from her wedding, just failing to be there to support her on one of the most important days of her life. On top of that, he didn't protect Meghan from the intense scrutiny and attacks she faced from the media and other members of their family. Instead of condemning the threats and criticisms from his other children, Thomas Markle Sr. just stayed silent, leaving Meghan to fend for herself against all those unwarranted attacks. His lack of parental support and his unwillingness to stand up for his daughter has been a pretty consistent pattern, and it's clear that Thomas Markle Sr. just hasn't been the father Meghan deserves. The public has not forgotten Thomas Markle's lack of support for his daughter Meghan during her wedding to Prince Harry. His ongoing behavior is, well, widely seen as embarrassing and damaging to Meghan's reputation. Despite his recent health issues, a lot of folks feel that Markle's decision to publicly beg for cash through crowdfunding is just another attempt to shame and pressure Meghan into engaging with him for tabloid consumption. There's little sympathy for Markle, since his past actions have shown him to be an unreliable and selfish father who's repeatedly betrayed his daughter's trust. Most people believe that if Markle is truly in need of financial help, it ought to come from the media outlets that have exploited him, not from Meghan or her supporters. The public has overwhelmingly rallied behind Meghan in this situation, seeing Thomas Markle's latest antics as nothing more than a transparent ploy to publicly shame his own daughter. Many feel that Meghan is justified in giving her estranged father a taste of his own medicine, after the way he's repeatedly betrayed her trust and exploited their relationship for tabloid attention. The general feeling is that Thomas Markle has burned any goodwill he might have had, and Meghan shouldn't feel obligated to keep supporting a man who's so clearly shown he's willing to undermine and embarrass her. The public's support for Meghan here sends a real clear message. They just won't tolerate Thomas Markle's continued attempts to manipulate the media and publicly humiliate the Duchess. Thomas Markle's children, his son Thomas Markle Jr. and his daughter Samantha Grant Rasmussen, have repeatedly attacked Meghan in the media. Samantha, in particular, has sued Meghan multiple times, but she's lost every single case. These constant, vindictive actions from Meghan's own family members are, honestly, nothing short of diabolical. Despite their efforts to publicly shame and destroy Meghan, she remains steadfast, protected by her strong moral character and the support of the public, who see right through the Markle family's malicious schemes. Meghan has risen above their attacks, showing the resilience and grace that have made her so admired. It's truly unfortunate that her own flesh and blood have chosen to betray her in such a despicable way, but Meghan's steadfast commitment to integrity will keep on shielding her from their misguided attempts at ruination. The Daily Mail and Carol Graham have shamefully abandoned Thomas Markle now that he's in dire need of their support. After exploiting him for years to attack his own daughter, the Duchess of Sussex, these tabloid vultures have turned their backs on him in his time of crisis. It's a sickening display of callous opportunism, really showing the true colors of the Daily Mail and its associates. Thomas Markle, who's consistently shown himself to be an unreliable and damaging figure in Meghan's life, now finds himself alone and struggling, with the very forces that manipulated him for their own gain, unwilling to provide any real assistance. The hypocrisy is just staggering. These media outlets were all too eager to amplify his criticisms of Meghan, but now that he needs genuine help, they've abandoned him without a second thought. It's a stark reminder that the tabloid industry cares only for sensationalism and its own bottom line, with no real concern for the folks whose lives they so ruthlessly exploit.